Gunsmoke actress hid the truth while filming. Rod Serling's Twilight Zone introductions didn't start until Season 2. Show, The Twilight Zone. Original network, CBS. Estimated production budget, $70,000 per episode. Rod Serling not only made this scary variety show The Twilight Zone, but he also came up with many memorable ways to start the show. Not until Season 2 did he start giving some of the most famous speeches in the show's history. In the first season of The Twilight Zone, there were no introductions. Serling only showed up at the end of each episode to promote the next week's show. When Serling started doing intros and saw that they were popular, he kept doing them until the show ended in 1964. I Love Lucy almost didn't make it off the ground. Show, I Love Lucy. Original network, CBS. Estimated production budget, $40,000 to $50,000 per week. People often think of I Love Lucy when they think of old TV shows, but fans may not know that this comedy almost didn't make it to TV. There were a lot of problems and issues at the beginning of the show. One of Lucille Ball's dreams made her want to do it, even though it would be hard. In her dream, star Carole Lombard showed up in a suit and told her, "Go on, honey, give it a try." Ball did what Lombard said in the dream, and it worked out. ABC made it a point to clear up rumors about Felix and Oscar. Show, The Odd Couple. Original network, ABC. Estimated production budget, $150,000 per episode. From the very beginning, when The Odd Couple first aired in 1970, fans were curious about the main character's sexuality. After all, the show was about two guys who lived together in New York as roommates. In the 1970s, fans were most interested in Felix. ABC started to talk openly about the two roommates as divorced men because they were afraid that the rumors would make people less interested in the show. Bob Barker on The Price is Right put his foot down about this prize. Show, The Price is Right. Original network, CBS. Estimated production budget, unknown. We all love our pets, but Bob Barker is the most devoted of all of us. The former Price is Right host cared a lot about animals. He did so much that he told producers they couldn't give certain gifts. He told companies that they couldn't give away fur coats and leather outfits as gifts because they were made from animals. Of course, the makers agreed, which is why those gifts are no longer shown on The Price is Right. The Ed Sullivan Show talked about mental illness in a groundbreaking way. Show, The Ed Sullivan Show. Original network, CBS. Estimated production budget, $8 million per year. An American theater director named Joshua Logan asked Ed Sullivan to appear on his show in 1953 to talk about his public battles with mental illness. It was one of the best times for the talk show star after Sullivan said yes. Afraid of what CBS would say, Sullivan let Logan change the show's schedule so he could talk about his mental health and the shame that comes with it. Back in the 1950s, that was a big deal, and CBS got a lot of thank you letters after the show played. Matthew Perry once lost a high-stakes bet to Courtney Cox. Show, Friends. Original network, NBC. Estimated budget, $10 million per episode in the later seasons. That Matthew Perry lost this bet is clear, even though the specifics aren't. He bet his co-star Courtney Cox while they were making Friends. Friends was one of the most popular shows in the 1990s, as you may remember. At one point, each cast member was getting paid $1 million to be on the show. Perry lost his bet and had to be Courtney's manservant for 6 months, no matter how well the cast did. The back door of the Brady Bunch house had no glass. Show, The Brady Bunch. Original network, ABC. Estimated production budget, $1,100 per week salary per child actor. It was great for ABC, the show's original network, that The Brady Bunch was a hit. People who'd never seen an episode of the show know what it's called, making it one of the most popular of all time. There are many interesting things about the show, but this might be the strangest. People who made the Brady Bunch didn't put glass in the back door because they didn't like how it would reflect light. In other words, Alice didn't have to open the door to be heard when she saw the kids coming in for dinner. The weapons on The Man from U.N.C.L.E. were designed by a board game creator. Show, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Original network, NBC. Estimated production budget, undisclosed. Reuben Klamer is known for creating the Game of Life, a classic Milton Bradley board game that you may already know. Hint, it's the one with the pink and blue pegs moving around in a piece that can change into another shape. Klamer created both this game and the weapons for the TV show The Man from U.N.C.L.E. One of the weapons he designed was the gun, a semi-automatic gun that could be changed from a pistol to a rifle with just a few clicks. Merv Griffin composed the theme song for Jeopardy in 30 seconds. Show, Jeopardy. Original network, NBC. Estimated production budget, $5 million per year. Merv Griffin, who made both Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, was pretty smart when it came to game shows, and it paid off big time. Griffin wrote the theme song for Jeopardy in maybe 30 seconds. Griffin made between $70 and $80 million in royalties from the jingle, which shows how much work that 30 seconds was worth. He was very rich because the song gave him royalties for the rest of his life. The Wonder Years cancellation happened for many different reasons. Show, The Wonder Years. Original network, ABC. Estimated production budget, $1.2 million per episode. The stated reason for ending the Wonder Years was that the stars were too old to keep playing parts in the coming-of-age 1980s show. But there were a lot more complicated reasons behind it. To begin, there was a lot of conflict between the people who made the show and the network, which wanted more mature plots. The people who made the Wonder Years thought that these plots could hurt the show's family-friendly time slot, which led to a lot of problems behind the scenes. David Hasselhoff never met the voice of Kit in real life. Show, Knight Rider. Original network, NBC. Estimated production budget, $11.4 million to build Kit. One of the most unique pairs of the 1980s was Kit and David Hasselhoff. During that decade, Knight Rider became a hit show. William Daniels did the voice of Kit, the show's car, in the episodes. David Hasselhoff and William Daniels never met in real life while Knight Rider was being made. Hasselhoff only knew Daniels' voice. They didn't meet in real life until many years later at a Christmas party. The house in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was not in Bel Air, California. Show, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Original network, NBC. Estimated production budget, $2.8 million for seasons 1 through 3, Will Smith's salary. The 1980s show Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was very funny and helped make Will Smith famous. The story was all about a family living in a house in Bel Air, California, and who could forget the huge White House that was shown during the theme song? It turned out that the house shown in the beginning wasn't in Bel Air. It was in Brentwood, a nearby city. Because it cost so much to shoot there, some scenes, like Jazz getting kicked out, were only shot once and used over and over again for the show's run. The food from Supermarket Sweep was almost all real except for the meat. Show, Supermarket Sweep. Original network, ABC. Estimated production budget, undisclosed. The first season of Supermarket Sweep aired on ABC in the middle of the 1960s. This famous show would come back in the 1990s. On the show, the players would go shopping at the grocery store to try to get the most expensive things to win. David Ruprecht, who hosts the show, said that everything on Supermarket Sweep was real food, except for the meat and cheese. The show's producers had to use fake meat instead of real because the contestants kept getting meat juice on their sweaters, which didn't look good on TV. Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego was inspired by a National Geographic survey. Show, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. Original network, PBS. Estimated production budget, $3.1 million for 65 episodes. Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego was the name of this famous 90s show that ran on PBS in the early 90s. Kids who watched the show learned a lot about locations and where things were stored. Show historians say that Where in the World got its idea from a National Geographic poll with some troubling results. The poll showed that most Americans knew tremendously little about locations. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego wanted to change that by teaching young children where things were. Betty White was supposed to be only in one episode of The Mary Tyler Moore Show. Show, The Mary Tyler Moore Show. Original network, CBS. Production budget, $250,000 per episode. As Sue Ann Nivens on The Mary Tyler Moore Show, the beautiful actress Betty White brought the show's heart to life. She was only meant to be in one show, but she was so good that they asked her to keep going. For her part in The Mary Tyler Moore Show, she won 2 Emmys in a row for Best Continuing Performance by a Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series. The people who made the show are Alan Burns and James L. Brooks. There were 2 Alices on The Honeymooners. Show, The Honeymooners. Original network, CBS. Estimated production budget, $65,000 per episode. The Honeymooners is an American show that ran from 1955 to 1956 on TV. Jackie Gleason came up with the idea, which was based on a regular comic act. There were 2 Alice Cramdens in the cast of The Honeymooners. Audrey Meadows is best remembered for playing Alice, but Pert Kelton played the part at the beginning of the season. Aubrey Meadows stepped in when she had to take care of some health problems. Gunsmoke popularized the idiom, "Get the hell out of Dodge." Show, Gunsmoke. Original network, CBS. Production budget, $150,000 per episode. One of the longest-running Western shows on TV, Gunsmoke has a big impact on American society. People all over the world now say, "Get the hell out of Dodge," which means to leave a situation quickly. The phrase comes from Dodge City, Kansas, a rough and tumble town that was often shown on the show. Gunsmoke was a big part of bringing this phrase to the attention of people across the country in the 1950s. This shows how deeply television has affected culture going back decades. One of the biggest problems during filming was including Amanda Blake because she was hiding a terrible secret from Gunsmoke. She was depressed and drinking too much. Because her drug problems were so bad, she was often not on the set. She would sometimes show up drunk or high. In that case, she would just refuse to leave her trailer. Because of this, the managers had to come up with creative ways to hide her absence from the public. In one episode, Miss Kitty is meant to be at the Long Branch Saloon for a dance. However, Amanda Blake was too drunk to film the scene, so it had to be done without her. To hide the fact that she wasn't there, they filmed Miss Kitty entering the bar from one angle and then leaving it from another. To do this, they filmed the scene twice, once with Amanda Blake and once without. It's hard to imagine Gunsmoke without the famous Miss Kitty Russell, but Amanda Blake's serious depression and drunkenness made it seem very real at times. As the saying goes, hard work pays off. Luckily, the makers were able to come up with clever ways to hide Miss Kitty's absences from viewers and keep the character alive for 19 seasons, which is an impressive feat in and of itself. Penny Marshall loved Pepsi milk. Show, Laverne and Shirley. Original network, ABC. Estimated production budget, $200,000 per episode. There were 8 seasons of the popular American show Laverne and Shirley, which ran from 1976 to 1983. Fans of this old hit song will remember that Laverne's favorite drink was Pilk, which stands for Pepsi and milk. Laverne's favorite drink became an important part of the TV show as a comfort drink for Penny Marshall, who played the character. Happy Days was supposed to be set in the 1920s, not the 1950s. Show, Happy Days. Network, ABC. Estimated production budget, unknown. When it first aired in 1974, the hit TV show Happy Days took place in the 1950s. But it turned out that the show wasn't meant to take place in the 1950s, but in the 1920s. The director, Gary Marshall, had other ideas. Afterward, he said that he asked for the period to be changed because he didn't know much about the 20s. It's a good thing he did because it made the show a huge hit. I Love Lucy was only meant to air for 1 season. The show, The Lucy Show. Original network, CBS. Estimated production budget, $4,000 per episode. There's only going to be 1 season of The Lucy Show. This was done because Ball and Desi Arnaz's company, Desi Lou, was losing money. Arnaz talked Ball into going back to the show so that their company could make some money again. Ball agreed to do the show as long as it played on Monday nights and hired back all of the writers who had worked on the old show with Vivian Vance. Three's Company lead characters met for the first time on day one of shooting. Show, Three's Company. Original network, ABC. Estimated production budget, $30,000 per episode. People all over the world watched the American show Three's Company when it first aired in 1977. It may seem impossible, but the three main characters in Three's Company met for the first time on the first day of filming. John Ritter, Suzanne Summers, and Joyce DeWitt did their magic and got along great right away. It just goes to show how important good hiring is. There were two Lionels on the Jeffersons. Show, The Jeffersons. Original network, CBS. Estimated production budget, $3.4 million per episode. It's one of the longest-running shows of all time and one of the most well-known TV shows of the 1970s. It had 253 episodes over 11 seasons. Two people, Mike Evans and Damon Evans, played the part of Lionel Jefferson. Mike played Lionel Jefferson for the first time in both All in the Family, 1971, and The Jeffersons, 1975. The first season of The Bob Newhart Show is Season 2. Show, The Bob Newhart Show. Original network, CBS. Estimated production budget, $700,000 per episode. When The Bob Newhart Show came out in 1972, it was a huge hit all over the world. What's funny is that there's no Season 1 of this show. People call Season 1 the first, but it's Season 2. It goes on like this. The second season is Season 3, and so on. The first season was never shown on TV because CBS didn't care about it before it first aired, but switching the seasons around seemed to fix it. Adam West didn't want to read for the part of Batman. Show, Batman. Original network, ABC. Estimated production budget, $3.3 million per year. When Batman the TV show premiered in 1966, it was an instant hit that led to many more TV shows and movies. Adam West played Batman, but it turned out that he wasn't even sure he wanted the part. He read 20 pages of the first story and then changed his mind. After that, he had one of the best Batman performances ever. Many people say that he even gave ideas for future Batman figures in the movies that came after. A Dragnet comic strip existed from 1952 to 1955. Show, Dragnet. Original network, NBC. Estimated production budget, $20 million per year. The first episode of the popular TV show Dragnet ran in 1951. From 1952 to 1955, there was also a cartoon strip for this show, but there was no US comic book from the original TV show. In Australia, though, a few numbers of these Dragnet comics came out. The TV show Dragnet is based on the radio show with the same name. Both were made by Jack Webb and drew millions of people around the world. Rhoda's sister is the voice of Marge Simpson. Show, Rhoda. Original network, CBS. Estimated production budget, undisclosed. Rhoda was a hit TV show that started in 1974 and starred Valerie Harper as Rhoda and Julie Kavner as Rhoda's sister. It was made by James L. Brooks and Alan Burns, and it ran for 5 seasons from 1974 to 1978. Something interesting is that Rhoda's sister, Julie Kavner, is also the famous voice of Marge Simpson on the hit TV show The Simpsons. My Three Sons was the second longest running live sitcom in history. Show, My Three Sons. Original network, ABC. Estimated production budget, undisclosed. My Three Sons is the second longest running live series in TV history. There have been over 380 episodes of My Three Sons throughout 12 seasons. This TV show is very close to Ozzie and Harriet in terms of how long it's been on the air. Get your popcorn ready if you want to watch a lot of shows at once. Each one lasts about 30 minutes. The story of the 3 kids in the title will keep your attention on the screen, so it looks like a good show. The Andersons' kitchen appliances worked. Show, Father Knows Best. Original network, CBS. Estimated production budget, $25,000 per episode. Father Knows Best was a hit when it first aired in 1954 across the whole country. The Andersons' kitchen got a lot of attention in this show, and what made it interesting was that the tools worked. The cast and team used them a lot to make coffee and cakes. From 1942 to 1972, the show ran on TV with 6 seasons and 203 episodes. It started on the radio, it got more and more famous, and now it's thought of as one of the best TV shows of all time. The Donna Reed Show was nearly canceled. Show: The Donna Reed Show. Original network: ABC. Estimated production budget: undisclosed. In 1958, the public could watch The Donna Reed Show. ABC almost canceled it before it became very famous. Instead, they renewed the show, and when it was moved from Wednesday to Thursday, it got a lot more viewers. The show was also one of TV's top 25 from 1963 to 1964, but it fell out of that list the next year. The original title of this show was Please Stand By. Show: The Outer Limits. Original network: ABC. Estimated production budget: $150,000 per episode. When it was first launched in 1963, The Outer Limits made headlines around the world. Please Stand By was the name of the unaired pilot of this show that was sent to ABC, but ABC agreed to show it, but not the title. The name The Outer Limits took center stage because of this and is now the name most people know the show by. The same office set was used for Clark and Lois. Show: Adventures of Superman. Original network: syndication. Estimated production budget: $15,000 per episode. The makers of the TV show Adventures of Superman didn't have a lot of money to work with. The players had to wear the same clothes every show, and the sets were used for more than one thing. Like the office set from Clark and Lois was used, but the decorations and settings were changed a bit. All the dogs that played Lassie were male. Show: Lassie. Original network: CBS. Estimated production budget: $20 million per year. From 1954 to 1957, Lassie was a TV show about a female dog and her life with her friends. It was interesting that all the dogs who played Lassie were male. They did this because every time a female collie goes into heat, she loses a lot of hair because of hormones. Even though male dogs go through this too, it's not as noticeable as in the female collies.